Have you ever wanted to bet on tennis, but you're not really sure where to start? Don't worry, here at First, we've got you covered. This is your beginner's guide to tennis. So tennis is a game played as either singles between two individuals or doubles between two teams of two players each. The main goal? Hit the ball over the net into the opponent's side of the court in such a way that they can't return it. Here's how the game works. Every game starts at 0, which in tennis is called love. Scoring then goes in this order: 15, 30, 40, then game. To win a game, a player must win 4 points and be at least 2 points ahead of their opponent. If both players reach 40, it's called deuce, and the winner must win 2 consecutive points to take the game. The next thing we're going to cover is games and sets. Now, a set is made up of multiple games. To win a set, a player must win 6 games and be ahead by at least 2. If the set is tied at 6-6, players usually play a tiebreaker to decide the set. This tiebreaker has different rules. It's the first to 7 points, but with a lead of at least 2 points. If it reaches 6-6, it goes to first to 8, and so on. The winner of the tiebreak has to go clear by 2 points. Matches are typically best of 3 sets for most tournaments, but for the men's Grand Slams, it's best of 5 sets. The player who wins the majority of sets wins the match. Players take turns serving, alternating after every game. The ball must land in the opponent's service box diagonally across the net to be a legal serve. If the ball hits the net but lands in the right box, it's called a let, and the player serves again. You win a point if your opponent fails to return the ball within the boundaries, hits the ball into the net, or misses the ball completely. After the serve, the boundaries include the whole of the opposite half of the court for the doubles, and the whole court apart from the tramline sections on the sides for singles. And that's the basic rundown of tennis. But how do you create a solid betting strategy? Well, like any sports betting, you need to do a little bit of research. What makes tennis so interesting is that each player has their own unique playing style, so it's good to have an understanding of their strengths and weaknesses. Also, take a look into what court they thrive on. Do they do better on a clay court, or do they prefer hard courts? Knowing this information will make a huge difference, and it's impossible to have a good betting strategy if you don't know the players. Next, you want to have a look at recent wins. This will give you a good indication of their confidence, so if they haven't won a match in, say, 3 months, they might not be playing with 100% confidence. It's always a good idea to look for players' past results in that particular event. Some players perform really well in specific tournaments compared to others, and it could be down to something as simple as weather conditions in the host city. Okay, I've touched on it briefly, but understanding different court surfaces is so important when it comes to tennis betting. So there's 3 different surfaces: grass, clay, and hard courts. Out of the 3, grass is the fastest court. The ball bounces lower and the conditions are ideal for attacking players. Think Wimbledon, Andy Murray and Venus Williams. Clay is considered the slowest surface, and it slows down the speed of the ball but generates a higher bounce. On a clay surface, players need to work extra hard to win points. When you think of clay courts, remember the king of clay, Rafael Nadal, one of the most dominant clay court players in history. And hard courts, which are the most popular surfaces all over the world. The court plays at a medium speed, faster than clay but slower than grass. You'll see some of the most important tournaments on hard courts, including 2 of the Grand Slams, the Australian Open and the US Open. Think of Roger Federer, one of the best hard court players of all time, winning more than 780 hard court matches. Knowing how players perform on different courts could be the difference in making a great bet. Now, one thing that we're all used to checking in the UK is the weather forecast. In tennis, that's no different. Make sure you check out the other variables as well, like the altitude. The impact of conditions in a match is more significant than you might think. Playing in warmer climates during the day is completely different to playing at night. But besides the obvious heat factors, it also has an impact on the speed and bounce of the ball. Let's get a little bit sciencey. When playing in higher temperatures, the gas molecules inside a ball expand, creating more internal pressure, and this results in a higher bounce of the ball. An increase in temperature also decreases air density, which means the ball will fly further through the air, making conditions much faster. This can suit some players, but not all. Humidity, wind, and altitude are also a big factor when it comes to the impact of a match. Wind can make play really unpredictable, so keep an eye out for that, as well as on players' overall fitness when it comes to playing in extreme humidity. Altitude is something that's often overlooked, but playing at higher altitudes is completely different from playing at sea level. An increase in altitude decreases air density, making the ball fly much faster through the air, and it will also bounce higher than in normal conditions. Keeping all of these things in mind, as well as doing a little bit of your own research, will give you the edge that you maybe didn't have before.